They say it's a fork in the road. I say it's a knife in their back.
Welcome back to UnionBase, where we cover AI, unions, and the future of work. In today's breaking update, we're witnessing unions emerge as the most formidable and resilient bulwark against the unprecedented attempts by Elon Musk's DOGE and the Trump administration to coerce millions of federal government employees into accepting legally questionable payoffs or face termination. Unyielding in their defense of workers' rights, powerhouse organizations like AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees, SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, and the AFL-CIO have not stood by idly. Instead, they've taken decisive legal action by filing lawsuits contesting DOGE's brazen efforts to access Treasury data, while also challenging schemes involving payoffs to federal employees and the recent shutdown of USAID. This multifaceted resistance underscores a stark reality. The Trump administration appears to have severely underestimated not only the unbreakable resolve of both the federal and private sector unions, but also the potent force of the judiciary ready to uphold the rule of law. All eyes are now on Monday, where we'll learn whether these aggressive initiatives can proceed against such determined collective opposition. For further details, including direct links to the lawsuits and additional documentation, please check out the description below, and be sure to stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and visit our website, unionbase.org, for more exclusive updates on this developing story. Thank you for watching.
A federal judge has paused the Trump administration's buyout offer to federal employees. A court hearing is set for Monday to hear arguments from both the White House and unions. Joining us now is Everett Kelley, president of the American Federation of Government Employees, the largest federal union. Everett, it's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you, and thank you. Good morning.
Is there a way to, I know that you're not a big fan of the whole process here. We're all kind of grappling with, on the one hand, what we feel maybe is some bloat in the federal government that we'd like to somehow deal with. And then I think, at least as far as intentions go, a buyout seems to be preferable to just outright layoffs. Just summarize the thinking of your thinking and of the union on because it's been tried before. This law was passed during the Clinton administration for buyouts. So it has been something that different administrations have thought about trying to do to streamline things.
Okay. And again, thank you for having me. But from where we sit, our position is not that it shouldn't be done or that it couldn't be done. Our position is that it should be done correctly, appropriately, okay? Because there are rules and regulations that governs these type of actions. We're just saying follow those rules and regulations.
It gets a little weird because the maximum is $25 grand. The average federal worker is making about $8,800 a month. So you can't get to September. You would use up that 25, so they're going to call it administrative leave, and no one knows where the money's coming from. What would be the proper way to do it, in your view? And some people think it's a pretty good deal. I guess 50,000 have accepted it. Everett, are they being hoodwinked or fooled?
I truly believe that myself, and those I've spoken to several of those individuals that have taken this option, and what they said is, we're just tired of the rat race. I was going to be retiring anyway in the next few months, so I'm going to go ahead and take this offer here. Now, I certainly believe that they're being hoodwinked. I think they're being fooled, because just like you said, there is no guarantee that they'll ever receive any pay for this offer. They say it's a fork in the road. I say it's a knife in their back because, there's just no continuity to what's going on.
One.
Okay?
Yeah, that's a good one. Not a fork in the road. I'm going to use that. What would is there any way that everyone could be concerns on both sides could be somehow satisfied, and could it be worked out in court? Are you optimistic about what happens on Monday when both sides get to air their sides of the argument?
I'm very optimistic about what will happen on Monday. First of all, I think that the judge has made a correct ruling so far. He decided that he's going to look at the case and not just say, because this is the administration making these moves, that is correct, because we believe that it is not correct. I am hopeful that we can sit down and work through this. And I say again, if you really want to know, how to deal with these issues, talk to the people that's actually doing it. Just be honest. Who would run a company this way? Right? Just think about it. If you start cutting the food service workers, right, the inspectors, that's going to affect the bottom line, at the retail and grocery market. If you start cutting TSA workers, that's going to affect the airline industries and these type of things. And when you look at VA, it's going to affect the healthcare industry. So who would run a company that way? No one would, right? You would want someone that's experienced, right, that know exactly what they're doing. The individual that's making these suggestions have never worked in the government, don't know anything about what federal workers do, and I suggest, once again, that they sit down and talk to the federal workers in their union and work through these issues, and I think we can get to where we need to get to.
Is there any notion or idea, Everett, that layoffs are coming one way or another? And this would certainly soften the blow if I could, if I knew I was going to get paid till September of 2025, and the whole agency could be shut down. I mean, there are some, there are some reasons. Yeah, there's some reasons why people are have gone along with the idea. 50 or 60,000 of them.
50 or 60,000 is a drop in the bucket as to what was believed, who would take that offer. But these are people that was ready to retire anyway. And the point is, there is no guarantee that these individuals will ever get paid, because it is the Congress that, authorized payments. And so far, we are under a continuing resolution that's only guaranteed to March 14th. Now, Congress had to come back together and decide the appropriate spending for these agencies for the rest of the year. So there's no guarantee. Even when you look at the memorandum, it points to that.
So do the people continue to show up at the office, or how much of this is people who didn't want to go back to the office too?
I don't think that, it's people that didn't want to go back to the office. I really don't. People want to do their job. What they want to do, though, is honor the negotiation that has taken place between these various agencies and the workers. And that's all that AFGE is saying. Honor the negotiated agreements, right? That's all we're saying.
For the moment, we're going to turn to the United States because a judge in Washington has blocked some of President Trump's plans to dismantle America's international aid organization. It came after two unions sued the Trump administration, which had notified workers that almost all staff at the world's biggest aid donor would be put on leave. Reports suggested that USAID staff could be slashed from a force of about 10,000 worldwide to just a few hundred. Now, this was the scene on Friday at the organisation's headquarters, where crews were seen removing the signs. The move is part of President Trump's efforts to reshape America's role in foreign aid assistance, but the dismantling of USAID is facing intense criticism at home and abroad. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes reports.
The dismantling of the world's biggest donor of development aid has already started. Signs identifying the agency's Washington headquarters have been removed or covered in black tape. But the fate of its almost 10,000 staff remains unclear. A judge has put on hold the Trump administration's plan to put just over 2,000 USAID employees on paid leave, while the court considers a union lawsuit to try to save the agency.
With this ruling, it does provide a reprieve, and it also provides some other relief, we hope, as well, for payments that the U.S. government is due to pay the partners and all of those who've been implementing programs long before January 20th.
At risk are health and emergency aid programs in around 120 countries, including the world's poorest regions. The United States' current budget allows about $70 billion for international assistance. Donald Trump has argued that the agency doesn't represent a valuable use of US taxpayers' money.
When you look at USAID, that's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. Very little being put to good use. Every single line that I look at in terms of events and transactions is either corrupt or ridiculous.
Opponents say the president's plan is unconstitutional, arguing that Congress is the only entity that can legally dismantle the agency. Peter Bowes, BBC News, Los Angeles.
This judge's ruling this afternoon doesn't eliminate the deferred resignation program. It just pauses it. Another hearing set for Monday in Boston. It comes from a case filed there by labor unions asking the judge to end deferred resignations, delay the program, alleging it is disorganized, illegal, happening too fast, and politically motivated. That lawsuit says the scattershot approach of the fork directive, which they call this program, does not set out a target for specific goals, agencies, positions, or functions, can only be understood as an effort to hollow out the federal government and allow the administration to make room for the administration's partisan hiring. Reacting to their loss in court in Boston today, the White House press secretary told reporters, "We're grateful to the judge for extending the deadline so more federal workers who refuse to show up at the office can take the administration up on this very generous once-in-a-lifetime offer." Today, the Boston judge set a Monday deadline to hear more for both sides. It extends the deadline to both accept the resignation and implement the program. It prevents the federal government from accepting any of these resignations until at least Monday. Before the judge pushed pause on the program, NBC News reports the deferred resignation offer was accepted by more than 60,000 federal workers. While that is a huge number, it is well below the goals the White House set, an expectation that somewhere between 5 and 10% of the federal civilian workforce would take it. It could be up to 230,000 federal employees. It brings the concern over federal layoffs and further workforce reductions back to the top of the discussion. In an email discussing this offer, the federal OPM office told every federal worker the majority of federal agencies are likely to be downsized through restructurings, realignments, and reductions in force, a fancy word for layoffs. And on President Trump's first day in office, he signed executive orders purporting to strip thousands of federal workers of their civil service protections. Those, too, are now being challenged in court. Erica?